Hello friends, in today's video I'm going to implement Firebase Authentication. So I'm going to show you how you can register with the email and password, and then we'll use those credentials to log in, and then I'll implement logout. So let's get started with the developer console. We need to register our application first. So simply you can search by the Firebase Authentication and then click on go to console. Then you need to log in with the email ID and click on add project. Here you can give a name, any name or whatever your application name have, then simply click on it. I don't need a analytics. It will take some time to build a project. So this is the basic steps. Click on Android icon. Here we need to give the same as what our application is going to have the package name. Now download this Google Service JSON file. Now we need that app file in our project. So inside the app, simply that's done. Now we need to go to authentication and enable our email and password authentication. Just simply enable it. And the real-time database also we are going to use, so let's create it. So in this we are going to hold some information like the profile information like first name, last name. So that's what the reason we need to have. And the rules we need to check. Everything look good to me. So we don't have any account currently. So let's start with. So go to tools, Firebase and authentication and click on this link. Add the dependencies. So these are the dependencies which we need to have in our Gradle file. Let it be sync now, and we need one more dependency for the database. So let's add that too. The Google one, we just need to add the Google one. Let it be sync now. Alright. Now let's add some activities. We need one login activity. We need another activity for registration. And let's rename this main activity to profile activity, where we are going to show the username, email address and first name, last name after the login. First of all, we need to add our internet permission in our manifest file. Also, we need to change our launcher as a login activity. So let's change it. There you go. Now let's go and build our UI. So login screen is going to have just email address edit text and password edit text and the login button, and I'm going to add one text view which is going to open the registration link. If someone don't have that account, so they can click on registered here and registration screen will be open. Let's copy it and build the registration UI as well. Registration UI is going to have just the first name, last name, email, and password. And the registration registered button. And in profile, I'm going to just have few text views, which is going to just display the information which we are going to retrieve from the real-time database. So like first name, last name, and I think email. So our UI is ready now. Let's go to our registration activity and create a separate function. Let's handle the button click. So on the register button, we need to call the Firebase API. So I'm declaring the variable now. And on button click, we just need to call this function create user with email and password. But before that, let's uh, add some validations. So the basic empty validation like email, first name, last name should not be empty. If it is empty, then it will show just this error. Validations are done. So now let's see how we can call our authentication API to create a user. So we just need to pass our user email and the password. And a listener on add on complete listener. Inside it we'll check if it is successful. That means our user has successfully registered. So we'll write code inside if block. So there we can retrieve the current user. So I'm creating two more variables for database reference, that is for the real-time database reference and itself database reference. And here we need to give a table name, we can say. If it is not successful, then we just need to show a toast. So when registration is success, then we need to save first name and last name. That is going to inside the profile table. So this is corresponding to the user ID which is already registered. So corresponding to that user ID, I'm going to store first name and last name in real-time database. This is the key. So you can use any name, but make sure that name should be same as what you are going to use on the profile while retrieving the data. Similarly for the last name. I'll just change the key. And if it is success, then we'll just show a toast. Registration success. That's it. And now we need to close this activity. And we need to call this register function from the onCreate. Yep. Now go to login activity and write the code for login. So I'm copying this auth and Firebase auth we need to initialize in onCreate. I'm creating a separate function for login, same as register. And what are the IDs we gave? So login ID, so that button we need to click listener. So that is the sign in login button listener. I'm putting the validation like the empty check for username and password, same as we did in the registration. Okay, validation are done. Now we need to call our auth, Firebase auth dot sign in with email and password, this one, and pass our email which user entered and password. Now we need to add a listener on complete listener, and here if user will be successfully authenticated, then it will come as it dot is successful. If authentication get failed, then it will come in the else block. So we'll show again toast message to the user. And once authentication is success, then we need to send user to the profile activity. So let's write the code for that. And now we'll close current login activity so that if user press the back button, he don't come back to the login screen. And now we need to call this login function from onCreate. On profile activity, we need to retrieve the data. So we will retrieving first name, last name, and email. So it's the same way as we save. Similarly, we need to retrieve. So I'm copying the same code from registration activity. So we need to initialize database auth and references, and I'm creating a separate function as usual. So Firebase auth will return us the current user, current logged in user, and same as dot child user dot uid. We need to add a listener, and then we need to override its functions. on data change and on cancel. So we need to handle this on data change. So this is the first name we are setting on the text view. Here we need to pass the same ID which we pass at the time of registration. That is the first name in all small. Similarly for the last name text view, let's copy the ID. Yep. Last name dot text. Pass the same ID, last name dot values. And we need email ID as well, that we can directly get from the user. So current user dot email return us the email ID of logged in user. So let's append some text like first name in front of what we are going to see, last name, and email. And I'm adding one more button for sign out. So I'll show you how you can log out as well. And I'll show you how you can see the session, like user don't need to again and again enter their credential until they are authenticated. So I'm handling the logout button dot sign out there. And then we need to redirect user to login activity. So when we log out, that time we need to redirect user to logout activity. I mean login activity. And we simply close this activity. Let's run and see. Here we go. So we can see the login screen, and let's click on registration. Oh, I think we did not handle its click on login activity. Yeah, let's handle its click as well. We can write code in login function itself dot set on click listener. Yep. And on registration link, we simply need to start registration activity. And we don't need to close current activity because on back click user can come back to the login screen. That's it. Let's run and see. There you go. Let's enter some data. Ashley@gmail.com and password. Can't register. Register success. There you go. Let's try to log in with the same credentials. Log in. There you go. We are successfully able to retrieve the profile data. Awesome. Now let me show you how you can see the session. So currently it's taking me to the login screen. But if we maintain the session, then it should not be coming. So till the time user is logged in, it will directly take you to the profile screen. So let's write some code here. Current user you can always check the current user property. If user is already logged in, then we can directly send user to profile activity. There you go. Let's run it and see. Yes, so now you see user is directly land on a profile activity. One more time. And I'm going to log out and then closing this app and then see user came onto the login screen. One more time. I'm logged in with the same credentials. Login. Now you can see I'm closing and user is landed on same activity. Now I'm killing this app and still user can come to the profile activity. There you go. After logout, user won't come on the profile activity, land on login activity. That's the beauty of Firebase authentication. Now let's verify the data which we entered. So we can see the user and in the real time we can see the first name and last name which we retrieved. So guys, that's all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe and share. Thank you.